When a woman betrayed by her husband and abandoned by society returns with a vengeance, she doesn't need guns or blood. She only needs the truth. Tonight, amidst a high society Charleston party, Selene Ashcroft will expose it all. One hand against the most dangerous crime boss on the East Coast, the other wielding a weapon of revenge. She will turn those who once trampled on her into ashes. But behind the mask of power, a darker conspiracy is devouring everything. Follow the story to the end. Like and comment with the city you're watching in. Let me know how far this story has come. The rain didn't just fall on Charleston that November night. It attacked. Bat drops hammered the cobblestone streets, turned alleys into rivers, and made the Spanish moss hanging from live oaks look like the hair of drowned women. Inside the Blackthorn estate, tucked behind wrought iron gates and tall enough to block out the storm, nobody cared about weather. They cared about champagne, about being seen, about who wore what, who arrived with whom, who still mattered in a city that kept score like a blood sport. Selene Ashcroft stood in the powder room on the second floor, staring at her reflection and hating every polished inch of it. The black gown fit perfectly because it had cost enough to feed a family for months. Her hair was swept into something elegant and painful. Her makeup made her look like she hadn't cried in years, which was a lie. She'd cried yesterday, and the day before that, and every single morning since she learned the truth about Adrian. She pressed her palms against the marble sink and let herself breathe. In, out. The way her therapist taught her before she fired him for suggesting she let go of anger. As if anger was something you misplaced. As if it wasn't the only thing keeping her spine straight. Downstairs, the orchestra played something soft and forgettable. Guests swirled through the ballroom like they were extras in someone else's movie, all of them pretending their money made them immortal. Selene could hear the hum of conversation even from up here, laughter that sounded like broken glass, voices that pitched high when they lied. She checked her phone. One message. Lucienne. I'm here, East Entrance. You ready? Was she ready? No, she'd never be ready. But ready didn't matter anymore. She typed back, 2 minutes. Selene slipped her phone into the hidden pocket of her gown, custom made because women's fashion was designed by people who hated women, and walked out. Her heels clicked against marble in a rhythm that sounded too confident, too certain. Fake it till you make it. Wasn't that what they always said? Pretend you're powerful until the world believes you. At the top of the grand staircase, she paused. The ballroom sprawled beneath her like a battlefield dressed in silk. Crystal chandeliers dripped light across men in tuxedos and women in gowns that cost more than cars. Waiters glided between clusters of guests carrying trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres nobody actually ate. A few people glanced up as Selene descended, recognition flickering across their faces before they looked away. She was a ghost here, a name people whispered about when they thought she couldn't hear. Poor Selene. Such a shame. Did you hear what Adrian did? Of course they'd heard. Scandals in Charleston didn't die. They fermented into legends. Selene reached the bottom of the stairs and scanned the crowd. There, Adrian Mercer stood near the bar, one hand wrapped around a tumbler of scotch, the other resting possessively on the waist of Bianca Laurent. He looked exactly the same, tall, sharp-featured, the kind of handsome that photographs well but doesn't age gracefully. His tuxedo was tailored within an inch of its life. His watch probably worth more than most people's cars. His smile easy and practiced. Bianca leaned into him like she belonged there, like she'd earned it. She wore emerald green tonight, bold, attention-grabbing, the kind of dress that said, "Look at me" in every language. Her hair cascaded over bare shoulders, her laugh too loud, her hand on Adrian's chest too familiar. And around her throat, Selene's breath hitched. The diamond necklace, her mother's necklace. The one Selene had kept locked in a safe for 3 years because it hurt too much to look at. The one she'd assumed was still there, still safe, still hers. Except now it glittered against Bianca's collarbone like it had always belonged to someone else. Something cold and sharp twisted in Selene's chest. Not rage. Worse. Clarity. Mrs. Ashcroft. The voice came from her right. Low, steady, dangerous in the way good knives were dangerous. Selene turned and found herself looking at Lucien Vale. He didn't blend into crowds. He consumed them. Even standing still in a perfectly cut black suit, Lucien radiated the kind of power that made smart people nervous. His face was all sharp angles and controlled violence, dark eyes that missed nothing, a mouth that rarely smiled, a scar along his jaw that he'd never bothered to explain. People said he'd killed men. People said he owned half the city. People said a lot of things, and most of them were probably true. "Mr. Vale," Selene said quietly, "you're staring at them." "I'm allowed to stare." "Staring gives you away." Lucien moved closer, close enough that anyone watching would think they were having a polite conversation. His voice dropped. "You want them to see you coming, or you want to destroy them?" Selene looked back at Adrian and Bianca. They were laughing now, heads tilted together like conspirators, like people who'd won. "Both," she said. Lucien's mouth curved, not quite a smile, more like the shadow of one. "Good. Let's go." He offered his arm. Selene took it. Together they moved through the crowd and the room shifted around them. Conversations paused, eyes tracked their movement. Whispers started like fire catching dry wood. "Is that Selene Ashcroft? Who's the man with her?" "Oh God, that's Lucien Vale." They reached Adrian and Bianca in under a minute. Adrian saw Selene first, his expression flickering through surprise, confusion, then something like fear before he forced it into a mask of casual indifference. "Selene," he said, lifting his glass slightly. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Didn't you?" Selene kept her voice light, pleasant, the way she'd been trained since childhood. Always be polite, always smile, never make scenes. "It's the Beaumont Foundation Gala. I've attended every year since I was 16. Bianca's eyes narrowed. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Flawless skin, bright eyes, the kind of face that made men stupid. She looked Selene up and down like she was evaluating livestock. "Love the dress," Bianca said. Her voice had that syrupy sweetness that only came from malice. "Very understated." "Thank you," Selene smiled. "Love the necklace." Bianca's hand flew to her throat, fingers brushing the diamonds. "Oh, this? Adrian gave it to me. Said it was a family heirloom." "It is," Selene said. "My family." The air between them went sharp. Adrian cleared his throat. "Selene, how did you get into my safe, Bianca?" Selene kept her tone conversational, like they were discussing weather. "I'm genuinely curious. Did Adrian give you the combination, or did you pick the lock yourself?" Bianca's face went pale. Adrian's jaw tightened. "I don't know what you're talking about," Bianca said. "Yes, you do." Selene took a step closer, close enough to smell Bianca's perfume, expensive, cloying, too much. "That necklace belonged to my mother. She wore it on her wedding day, on my christening day, on every birthday until she died." Her voice stayed soft, almost kind. "And now you're wearing it to a party, like some kind of trophy." Adrian said, "Adrian lied." Selene looked at her ex-husband. "Didn't you?" Adrian's face hardened. "This isn't the place, Selene. You're right, this isn't." Selene raised one hand. The gesture was small, barely noticeable. But Lucien saw it. And Lucien's men, positioned throughout the ballroom like well-dressed shadows, saw it too. Within seconds, the orchestra stopped mid-note. The room fell into the kind of silence that felt physical, heavy, suffocating, wrong. Every head turned toward Selene. She stood in the center of the ballroom with Lucien at her side, Adrian and Bianca frozen in front of her, and the entire Charleston elite watching like they'd stumbled into an execution. Selene's voice carried across the silence, calm and clear. "Everything Adrian Mercer owns," she said, "belongs to me." The words landed like grenades. Adrian's face went white. "What the hell are you—" "The penthouse on King Street?" Selene continued, still smiling. "Purchased with funds from the Ashcroft Family Trust. The investment firm you claim to run? Built on seed capital from my inheritance. The yacht, the cars, the vacation home in Kiowa." She paused. "All mine." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. People pulled out phones. Cameras flashed. "You're insane," Adrian said, but his voice shook. "No." Selene pulled a folded document from her clutch. Thick, official, stamped with a dozen legal seals. "I'm informed. This is the original trust agreement my mother signed before she died. The one you convinced me to never read because finances were boring." She let the words hang. The trust stipulated that any marriage I entered gave my spouse access to income, not ownership. Every dollar you spent, every investment you made, every business deal you signed, it all reverted to me upon divorce. Adrian opened his mouth, closed it, looked like a man drowning on dry land. So when you filed for divorce 3 months ago, Selene said, claiming I was an unfit partner who contributed nothing to the marriage, her smile sharpened. You actually signed away your access to every asset you thought you'd earned. Someone in the crowd laughed. Not a polite laugh, a shocked, delighted, "Oh my God, this is really happening," laugh. Bianca grabbed Adrian's arm. "Tell her she's lying." Adrian said nothing. Selene turned to Bianca. "Now, about that necklace." "It's mine," Bianca said, but her hand was already reaching for the clasp. "It's not." Selene moved closer. "And I can prove it." She gestured, and one of Lucien's men stepped forward, tall, silent, holding an iPad. He tapped the screen and turned it toward the crowd. The image showed a photograph. Selene's mother, young and radiant, wearing the exact same diamond necklace at a charity gala 30 years ago. Below it, an insurance appraisal. A certificate of authenticity. A will that explicitly bequeathed the piece to Selene Marie Ashcroft. "Want to keep lying?" Selene asked softly. Bianca's fingers fumbled with the clasp. The necklace came free. She held it out like it was burning her. Selene took it. The weight of it felt right in her hands, familiar, heavy with memory. She'd watched her mother clasp this around her own throat 100 times. Watched her check her reflection, smooth her hair, take a breath before walking into rooms full of people who wanted to devour her. "Be strong," her mother used to say. "Never let them see you bleed." Selene looked at Adrian, really looked at him. The man she'd loved, married, built a life with. The man who'd called her boring, clingy, frigid. Who'd told her she wasn't enough. Who'd walked out with Bianca on his arm and half of Charleston applauding him for finally being happy. He looked small now, humiliated. Exactly how he'd made her feel. "I want you to understand something," Selene said quietly. Only Adrian, Bianca, and Lucienne were close enough to hear. "When you destroyed me, you thought I'd disappear. Thought I'd cry myself to sleep in some apartment you'd never have to see. Thought I'd fade into nothing while you built your empire." She stepped closer. "But you built it with my money, my name, my blood." Her voice stayed soft, lethal. "And now I'm taking it all back." Adrian's hand trembled around his empty glass. "You can't." "I already have." Selene nodded to Lucien. Lucien raised one finger. Across the ballroom, every screen, the projection displays showing the foundation's charity work, the monitors advertising auction items, even people's phones, suddenly switched to the same image. Financial records, bank statements, wire transfers showing every payment Adrian Mercer had made for 6 years, every investment, every expense, and the source account for each one. Ashcroft Family Trust, Ashcroft Family Trust, Ashcroft Family Trust. The crowd erupted. Voices overlapped. Shock, amusement, schadenfreude sharp enough to taste. Adrian staggered backward. Bianca looked like she might vomit. And Selene felt nothing, no triumph, no satisfaction, just the cold, clean certainty of a job done right. Then Adrian did something she didn't expect. He lunged, not at Selene, at Lucienne. "You did this," Adrian snarled, grabbing Lucienne's lapel. "You—" Lucienne didn't move, didn't flinch. Just looked at Adrian like he was something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. 2 of Lucienne's men materialized from the crowd, hands already reaching for Adrian. "Don't," Lucien said quietly. They stopped. Lucien looked down at Adrian's hand on his jacket. Then slowly, deliberately, he wrapped his fingers around Adrian's wrist and squeezed. Adrian gasped, his grip released. "Touch me again," Lucien said, his voice so low only the 4 of them could hear. "And I'll break every bone in your hand before security arrives." He released Adrian's wrist. "Walk away." Adrian stumbled back, face red, breathing hard. He looked at Selene, really looked at her, and for the first time she saw something like recognition in his eyes. "You've changed," he said. Selene smiled. "No, I just stopped pretending you deserved kindness." Bianca grabbed Adrian's arm. "We're leaving." "Good idea," Selene said. They turned to go and walked straight into Detective Elias Ward. He stood at the ballroom entrance in a rumpled suit that had probably looked decent 12 hours ago, badge clipped to his belt, eyes sharp and tired. Two uniformed officers flanked him. "Adrian Mercer?" Ward's voice carried across the now silent room. Adrian froze. "Yes?" "Need you to come with me. Few questions about some financial irregularities." Ward's gaze flicked to Selene, then Lucienne, then back to Adrian. "Won't take long." "I don't have to answer." "You're not under arrest," Ward said patiently. "Yet. But we can do this easy, or we can do it difficult. Your choice." Adrian looked back at Selene Bastaigne. She saw the question in his eyes. "Did you do this?" She said nothing. Adrian left with the detective, Bianca trailing after him like a lost child. The crowd parted. Phones tracked their exit. By morning, the video would be everywhere. Selene stood in the center of the ballroom, her mother's necklace clutched in one hand, Lucienne at her side, and the entire city watching. Someone started clapping. Then another person. Then another. Within seconds, the ballroom thundered with applause. Selene didn't acknowledge it. She turned to Lucienne. "We should go," she said. "You sure?" Lucien's expression was unreadable. "You just won. Might want to enjoy it." "I didn't win." Selene looked around the room, at all the smiling faces, the raised glasses, the people who'd ignored her pain for months now celebrating her revenge like it was entertainment. "I just started." Something flickered in Lucien's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "Then let's finish it," he said. They walked out together into the storm. Mag. The car was waiting at the east entrance, black, anonymous, bulletproof. Lucienne's driver opened the door without a word. Selene slid into the back seat, Lucienne following. The door closed. The world went quiet. Rain hammered the roof. The city blurred past the tinted windows, streetlights, neon signs, old buildings that remembered when Charleston was still a port town built on blood money. Selene stared at the necklace in her lap. The diamonds caught the passing lights, throwing fragments of color across her hands. "You're shaking," Lucienne said. She was. She hadn't noticed. "It's done," she said, more to herself than him. "Not even close." Lucienne pulled a phone from his jacket, not the one he carried publicly, a different one, encrypted and untraceable. He typed something, waited, then set it down. That was the opening move. Selene looked at him. Really looked. Lucien Vale wasn't handsome in any conventional way. His features were too harsh, his scars too visible, his eyes too cold. But there was something magnetic about him, something that made you want to step closer even when every instinct screamed to run. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "You asked me to." "People ask you for things all the time. You don't help them." Lucien's mouth curved, not quite a smile. "Most people are boring." "And I'm not?" "You walked into my office 6 weeks ago with a file full of evidence against your ex-husband and asked me to destroy his life." Lucienne leaned back. "Most women in your position would have hired a divorce lawyer, maybe leaked some information to the press. You went straight for the throat." He paused. "I respect that." Selene remembered that meeting. She'd been terrified. Lucien Vale didn't take meetings with random socialites. He ran a criminal empire that stretched from Miami to Boston, controlled shipping routes, owned politicians, and made problems disappear. Meeting him meant stepping into a world she'd spent her entire life avoiding. But she'd been desperate, and desperation made people brave. "What do you want in return?" she asked now. Smart question. Lucien's eyes stayed on hers. "Your ex-husband's firm handled investments for people I'm interested in. When we take it apart, I want access to their financial records." "That's it? That's enough." The car turned onto a quieter street, old mansions set back from the road, iron gates, gardens that bloomed even in November. "Where are we going?" Selene asked. "Somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" Lucien didn't answer. The car pulled through a gate Selene didn't recognize, down a long driveway lined with oak trees, and stopped in front of a house that looked like it had been standing since before the Civil War. 3 stories of white columns and black shutters, elegant and slightly menacing in the dark. "This is yours?" Selene asked. One of them. Lucien got out. Inside, the house was exactly what she expected. Old money refurbished with new money, antiques mixed with modern art, rooms that felt lived in but carefully controlled. Lucien led her to a study on the second floor. Leather chairs, a fireplace, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with first editions. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey without asking if she wanted one and handed her the first. "Drink," he said. Selene drank. The whiskey burned clean and sharp. Lucien sat across from her, his own glass untouched. "You know what happens next, right? Adrian gets investigated, maybe arrested." "Maybe," Lucien set his glass down. "Or maybe he gets smart, finds a lawyer, cuts a deal, testifies against someone bigger to save himself." "Against who?" Lucien looked at her. "Oh. He doesn't know anything about you," Selene said quickly. "He knows you came to me. He knows we're working together. That's enough." Lucien leaned forward. "When powerful men get cornered, they lash out. Adrian's going to look for leverage, and the easiest target is me." "Yes." Selene set her glass down carefully. "So what do we do?" "We finish what we started." Lucien pulled out his phone again, the encrypted one, and pulled up a document. He turned the screen toward her. It was a financial report. Dense, technical, full of numbers Selene barely understood, but one name jumped out at her. Victor Hale. "Who is he?" she asked. "Former federal prosecutor. Now a private strategist who specializes in taking down people like me." Lucien's expression didn't change. 3 months ago, someone hired him to build a case against my operations. Someone with money, connections, and a personal vendetta. "You think it's Adrian?" "No. Adrian doesn't have the imagination." Lucien swiped to another page. "But whoever hired Hale has been watching you, watching us, waiting for an opportunity." A chill ran down Selene's spine. "What kind of opportunity?" Lucien met her eyes. "To weaponize you against me." The room felt smaller suddenly, the fire too hot, the shadows too deep. "I don't understand," Selene said. "You will." Lucien stood. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be complicated." He left before she could ask anything else. Selene sat alone in the study, the whiskey glass cold in her hand, her mother's necklace heavy in her pocket, and the growing certainty that she'd stepped into something far darker than revenge. Somewhere in the city, Adrian Mercer was being questioned by police. Somewhere else, Victor Hale was making phone calls. And somewhere close, closer than Selene wanted to believe, someone was watching, waiting, planning the next move. But Selene didn't know that yet. Not until the next morning, when she woke to find a single black rose on her pillow and a note written in handwriting she recognized. "Welcome home, darling." It was signed with a name that made her blood run cold. Evelyn Beaumont. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. The black rose sat on the pillow like a threat made physical. Selene stared at it from across the bedroom, her spine pressed against the wall, phone clutched in one hand. The note lay on the nightstand where she'd dropped it after reading Evelyn's name. Her fingers had gone numb. Her mouth tasted like copper. She'd locked the door when Lucien left her in this guest room last night. Checked the windows. Even wedged a chair under the handle like some paranoid teenager. None of it mattered. Someone had gotten in anyway. Footsteps in the hallway. Fast. The door rattled. "Selene!" Lucien's voice, not asking, demanding. She moved the chair, unlocked the door. Lucien pushed inside, still wearing last night's shirt, but with the sleeves rolled up, a gun visible in the holster under his arm. His eyes went straight to the rose. "When did you find it?" he asked. 5 minutes ago." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "I woke up and it was just there." Lucien crossed to the nightstand, read the note without touching it. His jaw tightened. "Evelyn Beaumont. She was my mother's best friend." Selene wrapped her arms around herself. The room felt cold despite the heating. "She's been like a second mother to me since your real mother died." Lucien looked at her. "When was that?" 3 years ago. Heart attack." The words came automatically. She'd said them so many times they'd lost meaning. "Evelyn helped me plan the funeral. Stayed with me for weeks. Selene stopped. "Why would she do this?" "Because you're a threat now." Lucien pulled out his phone. You made a spectacle last night. Showed the whole city you're not the broken woman they thought you were. That scares people. Evelyn's not scared of me. She's powerful, connected, beloved by Charleston society. Lucian's mouth curved without humor. That's exactly why she's dangerous. He typed something, sent it, pocketed the phone. Get dressed. We're leaving. Where? Somewhere she can't reach you. Selene didn't move. I'm not running from Evelyn Beaumont. Yes, you are. Lucian stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. You don't understand what you've walked into. Last night wasn't just about Adrian, it was a declaration. You aligned yourself with me in front of everyone who matters. That makes you a target. For who? Everyone I've ever pissed off. He said it like it was obvious. Which is a long list. Then why did you let me do it? Heat rushed through her, anger sharp enough to cut. You knew this would happen. You knew people would come after me. I told you it would be dangerous. You didn't tell me, Evelyn. She stopped, breathing hard. She sent me flowers when Adrian left. Took me to lunch every week. Told me I deserved better. Maybe she meant it. Lucien's expression didn't change. Or maybe she was positioning herself. For what? He didn't answer. Selene grabbed the note, held it up. What does this mean? Welcome home, darling? I haven't been home in months. Adrian got the house in the separation. Not that home. Lucien took the note from her, studied the handwriting. She's talking about Charleston, the world you left when your marriage fell apart. She's saying you're back in the game. What game? The one your mother played before she died. The floor seemed to tilt. My mother wasn't... She was a philanthropist. She ran charities. She had dinner with senators, golfed with federal judges, sat on the board of 3 different corporations. Lucien set the note down carefully. Your mother was one of the most connected women in the South. You think she did that by accident? Selene's throat tightened. She thought about her mother, elegant, untouchable, always knowing exactly what to say to whom. The way she could walk into a room and shift the entire temperature. The way people listened when she spoke. Evelyn was part of that world too, Lucien continued. Still is, and if she's reaching out to you now, it means she wants something. Or she's warning me. Same thing. A phone buzzed. Not Selene's. Lucien checked his, frowned, then showed her the screen. It was a news alert. Prominent investor Adrian Mercer released without charges. Detective Ward cites insufficient evidence. Selene read it twice. How? You had everything. Financial records, testimony, someone made a call. Lucian's voice went flat. Someone with enough juice to kill an investigation in under 12 hours. Who? That's what we're going to find out. He turned to leave. Selene grabbed his arm. Wait, if Adrian's free, he's going to... come after you, I know. Lucien looked at her hand on his sleeve. That's why you're staying here until I figure out who's protecting him. I'm not staying anywhere. She let go. If someone's helping Adrian, I want to know who. I want to look them in the eye when I destroy them too. Lucien studied her for a long moment. You're not ready for that. You don't get to decide what I'm ready for. Yes, I do. You asked for my help. That means you follow my rules. No. Selene stepped closer. It means we work together. I'm not some damsel you rescued. I came to you with a plan. I brought you evidence. I stood in that ballroom and burned my old life to the ground because you said it would work. And it did. Then don't treat me like I'm breakable now. Something shifted in Lucien's expression, surprise, maybe, or reassessment. He looked at her like he was seeing someone new. Get dressed, he said finally. You've got 20 minutes. Boom. The car took them downtown, past mansions that looked like wedding cakes and churches older than the country. Lucien's driver, a silent man with scarred knuckles, navigated through morning traffic like he was threading a needle. Neither of them spoke. Selene watched the city blur past. She'd grown up here, knew every street, every scandal, every family that mattered. Charleston was beautiful the way poisonous things were beautiful, bright colors hiding something lethal underneath. Old money built on slave labor, new money built on corruption. All of it wrapped in southern charm, like that made it clean. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Coffee? We should talk. EB. Evelyn. Selene showed it to Lucien. Don't answer, he said. I have to. If I ignore her, she'll know I'm scared. You should be scared. I am. Selene typed back. When and where? The response came immediately. Magnolia Cafe. 1 hour. Lucien's phone rang before Selene could reply. He answered with one word. Talk. A voice on the other end. Male. Urgent. Too quiet for Selene to make out. Lucien listened, his face unreadable. How many? He asked. More talking. Anyone hurt? A pause. Secure the location. I'm on my way. He hung up, leaned forward. Change of plans. Take us to the warehouse on Meeting Street. The driver nodded. What happened? Selene asked. Someone hit one of my shipments, took out 3 of my men. The words landed wrong. Selene heard them but couldn't process what they meant. Took out? You mean... I mean killed. Lucien's voice stayed level. This is what I do, Selene. This is who I am. If you can't handle that, tell me now. She thought about the men she'd seen last night. Silent, efficient, dangerous. Thought about them bleeding somewhere while she sat in a comfortable car wearing last night's makeup. Thought about what it meant that someone had murdered them. Who would do that? She asked. Someone sending a message. To you? To both of us. The warehouse sat in a part of Charleston tourists never saw. Abandoned factories, empty lots, buildings that looked one strong wind away from collapse. Lucien's car pulled through a gate guarded by 2 men with rifles. Inside, the space was cavernous and dark, lit by work lights that threw harsh shadows across concrete floors. Bodies. Selene saw them before the car even stopped. 3 men laid out on tarps, covered with sheets that didn't quite hide the blood. More of Lucien's people stood around them, a dozen armed men and 2 women, all of them looking at Lucien like he had answers. He got out. Selene followed. The air smelled like metal and something chemical. Her stomach twisted, but she kept her face neutral. Lucien crouched next to the first body, pulled back the sheet. The man had been shot twice, once in the chest, once in the head. Professional. How long ago? Lucien asked. A woman with her hair in a tight braid answered. 4 hours. They hit the truck on the bridge. Driver said it was 2 vehicles, black SUVs, no plates, at least 6 shooters. The cargo? Gone. All of it. Lucien stood. Cameras? Disabled. They knew exactly where to shoot out the coverage. Selene watched Lucien process this. He moved through the warehouse like he owned it, which he probably did, checking details, asking questions, his voice never rising above conversational. This was his world. Not ballrooms and champagne, blood and consequences. She should have been horrified, should have run. Instead, she felt something else, a sick kind of clarity. This was the cost of revenge. This was what happened when you stepped into the dark and asked monsters for help. Selene. She turned. Lucien stood by the bodies, looking at her. You should wait in the car, he said. I'm fine. You're pale as a ghost. I said I'm fine. He studied her, then nodded. Marcus. Show her. The man with the braid stepped forward, pulling out a phone. She tapped the screen and held it out to Selene. It was a photo. Taken at the scene, Selene guessed. One of the SUVs with its door still open. On the seat sat a single black rose, the same kind that had been on her pillow this morning. Selene's hands went cold. Evelyn. Maybe, Lucien moved closer. Or someone who wants us to think it's Evelyn. Why would... to divide us. Make you doubt me. Make me doubt you. His eyes stayed on hers. Classic misdirection. But the rose can be bought at any florist in the city. Lucien took the phone from Marcus, studied the photo. Whoever's doing this knows about the note you got this morning, which means either they're watching this house or... He stopped. Or what? Selene asked. Lucien's jaw tightened. Or someone inside my organization is feeding them information. The warehouse went quiet. Every person in the room tensed. That's not possible, Marcus said. Everyone here has been vetted. Someone talked. Lucian's voice cut through the protest. No one knew Selene was at my house except people in this room. No one knew about the shipment schedule except people in this room. So either we've got the unluckiest coincidence in history, or one of you is working for whoever wants me dead. No one moved. Lucian turned in a slow circle, looking at each person. I'm going to find out who, and when I do, I'm going to make them wish they'd never been born. Selene believed him. They left the warehouse 20 minutes later. Lucien made calls during the entire drive, curt conversations in languages Selene didn't speak, instructions she couldn't follow. His face stayed blank, but his knuckles were white around the phone. Where are we going? She asked when he finally hung up. To meet Evelyn. I thought you said... I changed my mind. Lucien looked at her. She wants to talk. Let's see what she has to say. The Magnolia Cafe sat in the heart of Charleston's historic district. White tablecloths, fresh flowers, the kind of place where ladies lunched and secrets got traded over salads. Selene had been here 100 times, with her mother, with Adrian, with Evelyn herself. Walking in now felt like stepping into a trap. Evelyn sat at a corner table, perfectly composed in a cream suit, her silver hair swept into an elegant chignon. She looked exactly the way Selene remembered, beautiful in that timeless way some women achieved, her smile warm, her eyes sharp. She stood when she saw them. Selene, darling. Selene didn't move closer. Evelyn. The older woman's gaze shifted to Lucian. Mr. Vale, I've heard so much about you. Nothing good, I hope. Lucian pulled out a chair for Selene, then sat himself. Evelyn's smile didn't waver. You made quite an impression last night, both of you. She gestured to the waiter. Coffee? Mimosas? Just talk, Selene said. Of course. Evelyn folded her hands on the table. I imagine you're wondering about the note. And the rose at the murder scene, Lucian added. Evelyn's eyebrows lifted. Murder scene? I'm afraid I don't. 3 of my men were killed this morning. Someone left a black rose in the vehicle. Lucien's voice stayed pleasant. Same as the one you left on Selene's pillow. I left no such thing. Evelyn looked at Selene. Darling, I sent you a note welcoming you back to society, that's all. I have no idea what he's talking about. She's lying, Lucian said flatly. He's paranoid, Evelyn countered. Selene looked between them. One of you is telling the truth. Yes, they said in unison. Her head throbbed. The cafe felt too bright, too crowded, full of people pretending not to listen. She could feel eyes on them, phones out, photos being taken. By tomorrow, this would be everywhere. Selene Ashcroft having coffee with Evelyn Beaumont and Lucian Vale. What does it mean? Why did you want to meet? Selene asked Evelyn. To warn you. Evelyn's expression softened. Your mother was my dearest friend. I promised her I'd look after you if anything happened to her. And now I'm watching you align yourself with... She glanced at Lucien. Someone dangerous. I can make my own choices. Can you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've traded one controlling man for another. Heat rushed through Selene. That's not... Isn't it? Evelyn leaned forward. Adrian manipulated you for years, convinced you that you needed him, made you doubt your own intelligence, and now here you are, taking orders from a criminal who sees you as, what, a useful tool? A way to legitimize his empire? Watch your mouth, Lucian said quietly. Evelyn ignored him. Selene, listen to me. I know you're angry. I know you want revenge, but this isn't the way. Then what is? Come home. Let me help you rebuild. You're an Ashcroft. You don't need men like him. Men like me keep the lights on in this city, Lucian said, while women like you throw parties and pretend your money's clean. My money is clean. No one's money is clean in Charleston. Not yours, not hers. Lucien nodded at Selene. Not even the Beaumonts. Something flickered across Evelyn's face. Fast. Gone before Selene could identify it. What does that mean? Selene asked. Lucian pulled out his phone, scrolled, turned the screen toward her. It showed a financial document. Dense, complicated, but one name stood out. Beaumont Holdings, LLC. And below it, a list of investments, shipping companies, real estate developments, import/export businesses, all of them connected to Lucian's operations. Selene looked at Evelyn. You're in business with him? Was, Evelyn corrected. Years ago, before I knew what kind of man he was. Funny, Lucien said. You didn't seem to care when the profits were rolling in. I divested as soon as I learned the truth. You divested after the FBI started asking questions. Different thing. Evelyn's composure cracked, just slightly. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Selene. He twists everything, makes you doubt the people who actually care about you. Like Adrian? Selene heard the edge in her own voice. Because you introduced us. At your garden party. You told me he was exactly the kind of man my mother would want for me. Evelyn hesitated. I thought he was. Or you knew exactly who he was and didn't care. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Selene stood. Her chair scraped against the floor. Every head in the cafe turned. My mother's dead. My marriage is destroyed. I've got killers leaving roses in my bedroom, and people are dying because I asked the wrong person for help. So no, Evelyn. Nothing about this is fair. She walked out. Lucien caught up with her on the street. That went well. Shut up. She's rattled. That's good. 3 men are dead. That's not good. They knew the risks. Lucien steered her toward the car. Everyone who works for me knows what they're signing up for. Did I? Selene stopped, turned to face him. Did I know what I was signing up for when I walked into your office 6 weeks ago? You knew enough. I knew you were dangerous. I didn't know people would die. People always die in my world. Lucian's expression hardened. That's not going to change because you're uncomfortable with it. I'm not... She stopped, breathed. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm complicit. There's a difference. Yes. One means you feel bad. The other means you take responsibility. He opened the car door. Which one are you? Selene got in without answering. They drove in silence. Selene watched the city pass. Tourists taking selfies, horse-drawn carriages, rainbow row houses painted in colors that looked fake. Picture-perfect Charleston, built on graves and lies. Her phone buzzed. Another text. This time from Adrian. We need to talk. It's about your mother. Selene showed it to Lucien. Don't, he said immediately. He knows something. He's baiting you. Or he's telling the truth. Same thing with him. But Selene was already typing. When? Tonight. The house. Come alone. Lucien grabbed her phone. Absolutely not. Give it back. He's setting you up. I don't care. Selene reached for the phone. Lucien held it away. If he knows something about my mother, he's lying. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because that's what desperate men do when they're cornered. They find your weakness and they exploit it. My mother isn't a weakness. She's a ghost you can't let go of. Lucien's voice softened, barely. Adrian knows that. He's using it against you. Selene's throat burned. I have to know. Why? What difference does it make? She's dead. You can't save her. But I can understand why. The why doesn't matter. It matters to me. She grabbed the phone from his hand. And if you try to stop me, I'll go anyway, without your help, without your protection. I'll walk straight into whatever trap Adrian set, and I'll do it alone. Lucien stared at her. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked genuinely angry. You're going to get yourself killed, he said. Then I'll die knowing the truth. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I don't care. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror, clearly uncomfortable. Lucien noticed, gestured. The privacy screen slid up. Listen to me, Lucien said, voice low. I've spent 15 years building what I have. 15 years making enemies, burying bodies, doing things that would make you vomit if you knew the details. And I've survived because I never let sentiment cloud my judgment. I'm not you. Obviously, because if you were, you'd see this for what it is. He leaned closer. Adrian's working with someone who wants to destroy both of us. If you walk into that house tonight, you're giving them exactly what they want. Or I'm getting answers. There are no answers. Just more questions that get people killed. Selene met his eyes. Then why are you helping me? The question hung between them. Lucien sat back.
I'm starting to wonder that myself.
Her phone buzzed again. A new message. Not from Adrian this time. Unknown number. She opened it. It was a photograph. Old, faded, taken maybe 25 years ago based on the clothes and hairstyles. It showed two women standing together at what looked like a charity event. Both young, both beautiful, both smiling at the camera. One was Selene's mother. The other was Evelyn Beaumont. And between them, holding both their hands, was a man Selene didn't recognize. The message below the photo said, "Ask Evelyn who he was. Ask her what really happened. A friend." Selene's fingers went numb. Lucien took the phone, studied the image. His expression changed. "Do you know him?" "No, I've never seen him before." "Your mother never mentioned him?" "My mother never mentioned anything about her past. She always said—" Selene stopped. "She always said the past was dead and we should leave it buried. Looks like someone's digging it up." The car stopped. Selene looked out the window. They were back at Lucien's house, the one with the oak trees and the iron gate and rooms that felt like museums. "I need to talk to Evelyn," Selene said. "Not without me." "She won't talk if you're there." "I don't care if she talks. I care if you survive the conversation." Selene turned to him. "Do you trust anyone?" "No." "Not even me?" Lucien's jaw tightened. "Especially not you." The words should have hurt. Instead, they felt honest. Real in a way most things in Selene's life had never been. "Good," she said, "because I don't trust you either." Something almost like respect crossed Lucien's face. "Then we understand each other." "Do we?" "We both want the same thing. We're both willing to do terrible things to get it, and we both know this probably ends badly." He opened the car door. "That's more honest than most partnerships." Selene followed him inside. The house felt different in daylight, less menacing, more empty, like a stage set waiting for actors. Lucien led her to his office. The space was exactly what she'd expect: leather, dark wood, books that probably cost more than cars. He poured them both whiskey without asking if she wanted it. "Drink," he said. She did. The burn helped. Lucien sat behind his desk, pulled up something on his computer. "The man in the photo. I've seen him before." "Where?" "Old case files. From when I was first starting out in Charleston." He turned the screen toward her. It showed a newspaper article from 23 years ago. The headline read, "Prominent attorney dies in apparent suicide. Beaumont family mourns." The photo showed the same man from the text message. Older, but recognizable. "James Beaumont," Lucien said, "Evelyn's husband." Selene read the article. It was brief, clinical. James Beaumont had been found dead in his study from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He'd left no note. The family requested privacy. "My mother knew him," Selene said quietly. "Apparently, they were close." "How close?" Lucien zoomed in on another photo from the article. The funeral. In the background, barely visible, stood Selene's mother. She was crying. Selene's chest tightened. "She never told me." People don't tell their children about their affairs. "You don't know it was an affair." "What else would it be?" Selene didn't have an answer. Her phone rang. She checked the screen. "Evelyn." She answered. "Hello?" "We need to talk." Evelyn's voice sounded different, strained. "Not at a cafe, somewhere private." "Where?" "The Ashcroft estate, the greenhouse. 1 hour." "Why there?" "Because it's the last place your mother went before she died." The line went dead. Selene lowered the phone slowly. Lucien was already standing, reaching for the gun he kept in his desk drawer. "You're not going," he said. "Yes, I am." "Selene, my mother died in that greenhouse." The words came out flat, empty. "Heart attack," they said. "Alone among her orchids. I found her." Lucien stopped. "You never told me that." "You never asked." "Was anyone else there?" "Just Evelyn. She'd have been visiting. She called the ambulance, held my hand while we waited." Selene looked at him. "She was the last person to see my mother alive." Understanding dawned in Lucien's eyes. "You think she killed her?" "I don't know what I think anymore." "Then we're going together." She said,
I don't care what she said. Lucien checked his gun, holstered it. You walk into that greenhouse alone, you might not walk out. Maybe that's what needs to happen. What the hell does that mean? Selene stood. She felt calm. Too calm. Like something inside her had finally broken, or finally healed. It means I'm tired of being protected, tired of being managed, tired of everyone deciding what I can handle. So you're just going to offer yourself up? I'm going to get answers, whatever that costs. Lucien moved around the desk, grabbed her arms. Not hard, firm enough that she couldn't look away. Listen to me, he said. In my world, people who go looking for truth usually find graves instead. Your mother's dead. James Beaumont's dead. 3 of my men are dead. Everyone who's gotten close to this, whatever this is, ends up bleeding. Then I'm already bleeding. I just haven't noticed yet. Selene, let go. He did, slowly. Selene stepped back. I'm going to the greenhouse. You can come with me or you can stay here, but you can't stop me. I could lock you in this house. You could try. They stared at each other. The air between them felt charged, dangerous, full of things neither of them would say. Finally, Lucien nodded. One condition. What? You wear a wire, audio only. My people monitor from outside. Anything goes wrong, we come in. Fine. And you don't drink anything she gives you. Don't eat anything. Don't touch anything you don't have to. Jesus, Lucien, promise me. The intensity in his voice made her stop. She'd seen him angry, seen him cold, seen him calculated. But this was different. This was fear. For her. I promise, she said quietly. He held her gaze for another moment, then turned away. Marcus will set you up with the equipment. We leave in 30 minutes. Selene watched him walk out, shoulders tight, every line of his body screaming tension. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking, not from fear, from something else entirely. Something that felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, and finally understanding that the only way forward was to jump. The Ashcroft estate looked exactly the same as it had 3 years ago. Same iron gates, same long driveway, same gardens her mother had tended personally because she didn't trust anyone else with her orchids. The greenhouse sat behind the main house, glass and steel, beautiful and fragile, full of plants that shouldn't survive Charleston winters but did because her mother had made them. Selene got out of the car. Lucien stayed in the driver's seat. Audio check, he said. The wire taped to her ribs itched. She tapped it twice. Hear me? Perfectly. His voice came through the tiny earpiece hidden in her left ear. You've got 20 minutes. After that, I'm coming in whether you're done or not. Understood. Selene walked toward the greenhouse. The sun was setting, turning the glass walls into mirrors that reflected sky and trees and her own distorted silhouette. The door stood open. Inside, orchids bloomed in riots of color, purple, white, pink, yellow. The air felt thick, humid, full of the smell of soil and growing things. In the center of the greenhouse sat the koi pond her mother had built herself, hand-laying every stone. Evelyn stood beside it, wearing the same cream suit from this morning. She looked smaller somehow, older. Thank you for coming, Evelyn said. Selene stayed near the door. Tell me about James. Your mother's lover, you mean? The bluntness of it stole Selene's breath. Yes, Evelyn continued. They had an affair. For 3 years. He was going to leave me for her. She smiled sadly. Instead, he killed himself. Why? Because your mother ended it. Told him she wouldn't destroy 2 families for a relationship that was built on lies. Evelyn turned to face her. She chose you, her daughter, her marriage, over love. Selene's throat closed. And you? I stayed married to a man who loved someone else until the day he died. Then I became Charleston's beloved widow. Everyone felt so sorry for me. Evelyn's expression hardened. No one knew I'd spent 20 years planning my revenge. The greenhouse suddenly felt smaller, colder. Revenge against who? Selene asked, but she already knew. Your mother, the Vale family, everyone who took something from me. What did the Vales take? Everything. Evelyn pulled a gun from her jacket, small, silver, deadly. They killed James.
made it look like suicide. And your mother knew. She knew, and she never told anyone. That's not... My mother wouldn't... Your mother was complicit in murder. Evelyn's hand stayed steady. And when she finally grew a conscience and threatened to go to the police, I made sure she never got the chance. The world tilted. You killed her, Selene whispered. I gave her tea, laced with something that mimics a heart attack. We sat right here, by this pond, and talked about you. About how proud she was, how much she loved you. Evelyn's voice stayed calm, conversational. Then she started having trouble breathing. By the time I called the ambulance, it was too late. Selene couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The wire pressed against her ribs. Lucien could hear all of this. He'd be coming. Why are you telling me? She managed. Because you need to understand what you're walking into. Evelyn raised the gun. Your mother made a choice, love or family. She chose family and it got her killed. Now you're making the same choice, Lucien or survival. I choose both. You can't have both. Watch me. Evelyn's finger moved to the trigger. Glass shattered. Lucien crashed through the greenhouse wall, gun raised, blood streaming from a dozen cuts. His men poured in behind him, Marcus and 4 others, all armed, all moving with practiced efficiency. Drop it, Lucien said. Evelyn's gun swung toward him. 2 shots. Not from Evelyn. From the greenhouse entrance. Detective Ward stood there, service weapon raised, face grim. I said, drop it, Mrs. Beaumont. Evelyn's gun clattered to the stone floor. She looked at Selene one last time. You're just like her, she said, and you'll die just like her too. Then Ward's officers were on her, cuffing her, reading her rights. She didn't resist, just smiled that sad, terrible smile while they dragged her away. Selene stood frozen by the pond, her mother's pond, where orchids bloomed and secrets rotted and everything beautiful hid something poisonous underneath. Lucien reached her first. Are you hurt? She shook her head, couldn't speak. He pulled her close, not gently, desperately, like she might disappear if he let go. And for the first time since her mother died, Selene broke. Selene didn't remember leaving the greenhouse. One moment she was standing by the koi pond with Lucien's arms around her, watching Evelyn get dragged away in handcuffs. The next she was in a car, not Lucien's, someone else's, with sirens wailing somewhere behind them, and her hands shaking so badly she had to sit on them. Breathe, Lucien said from the driver's seat. She tried. Her lungs wouldn't cooperate. Every breath came shallow and sharp, like her ribs were too tight. Selene, look at me. She turned her head. Lucien's face was streaked with blood from the glass cuts, his shirt torn, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He looked like he'd gone to war. Maybe he had. In through your nose, he said. Out through your mouth. Slow. She followed his instructions. In, out, in, out. The world slowly came back into focus. Streetlights blurring past, the smell of leather seats, the wire still taped to her ribs, itching like fire. Where are we going? Her voice sounded wrong, distant. Safe house. Different one. Lucien's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. Evelyn's arrest is going to cause problems. Problems? The word felt absurd. She murdered my mother. I know. She admitted it. You heard her. The wire. Got everything. Lucien took a corner too fast. The tires screamed. But that creates complications. Selene's brain struggled to process this. What complications? We have a confession. Ward arrested her. It's over. It's not over. Lucien's jaw tightened. Evelyn Beaumont is Charleston royalty. Her family's been here since before the Revolution. She sits on a dozen boards, knows every judge, every politician, every person who matters. A confession on a wire recording isn't enough to put her away. Not permanently. Then what is? Evidence? Physical evidence. A trail that can't be explained away by expensive lawyers. He glanced at her. Which means we need to find out who else was involved. In my mother's murder? In all of it. James Beaumont's death. The conspiracy against me. The attack this morning. Lucien's voice went flat. Someone's been pulling strings for 20 years. Evelyn's just one player. The safe house turned out to be a penthouse apartment in a building so new the elevator still smelled like paint. Lucien's people were already there, Marcus and 3 others Selene didn't recognize, all of them armed, all of them moving through the space like they owned it. Marcus nodded at Lucian. Perimeter secure. No tails. Good. Set up a rotation. 4-hour shifts. No one gets in who isn't on the list. What about the cops? Especially not the cops. Marcus left. Lucian pulled the wire from Selene's ribs, not gently, but not rough either, his fingers working the tape with practiced efficiency. When it came free, she could finally breathe properly. Shower's that way, Lucian said, pointing. There's clothes in the closet. Burn what you're wearing. Why? Gunshot residue. Glass fragments, DNA. He looked at her like she was slow. You were at a crime scene. Act like it. Selene walked to the bathroom on autopilot. The shower ran too hot, but she didn't adjust it, just stood under the spray and let the water turn her skin red. Her mother's necklace, the one she'd taken from Bianca last night, sat on the counter where she'd left it. The diamonds caught the light, throwing rainbows across white tile. Her mother had worn this the day she died. Selene remembered. She'd been wearing her gardening clothes and the necklace, which had seemed strange at the time. Why wear diamonds to dig in dirt? But her mother always said jewelry should be worn, not locked away. Now Selene understood. Her mother had known. Known Evelyn was coming, known what would happen. She'd put on her best necklace like armor, like a reminder of who she was. And Evelyn had killed her anyway. Selene's knees gave out. She sat down hard in the shower, water hammering her shoulders, and finally let herself scream. No sound came out. Just a silent, shaking sob that tore through her chest and wouldn't stop. When she finally emerged, dressed in someone else's clothes, her hair still dripping, the penthouse had transformed. Laptops covered the dining table, files scattered everywhere, 3 different phones charging on the counter. Lucien stood in the center of it all, talking rapid fire into his cell, while Marcus typed something on a tablet. He saw her, held up one finger. Wait. Selene waited. Don't care what his lawyer says, Lucian was saying. Find out who's paying the retainer. I want bank records, wire transfers, shell companies, everything. He listened. No, not tomorrow. Now. He hung up. Adrian? Selene asked. Got released 2 hours ago. New lawyer. Very expensive. Lucien pulled up something on one of the laptops, turned it toward her. Recognize this firm? The screen showed a law office website. Hale and Associates, criminal defense specialists. Their client list read like a who's who of organized crime. Victor Hale, Selene said quietly. The same strategist who's been trying to take me down for 3 years. And now he's representing your ex-husband. Lucien's expression went cold. That's not a coincidence. What does Adrian have that Hale wants? You. The word landed like a fist. Selene sat down. Explain. Lucien pulled up more files, financial records, emails, phone logs. Hale's been building a RICO case against my organization. Problem is he doesn't have enough evidence. Most of my operations are insulated, legitimate businesses fronting for the real work. He needs someone on the inside to testify. Adrian's not inside your organization. No, but you are. Understanding hit her like cold water. They're going to say I'm complicit. They're going to say you're my partner. That you've been laundering money through the Ashcroft Trust. That last night's spectacle was theater to establish your credibility before you start taking over Adrian's legitimate businesses as fronts. Lucien's voice stayed level. By the time Hale's done spinning it, you'll look like the mastermind, and I'll look like your enforcer. That's insane. It's brilliant. Lucian almost sounded impressed. Flips the entire narrative, makes you the villain, makes Adrian the victim trying to escape a dangerous woman and her criminal boyfriend. Judges love that story. Selene's hands clenched. I'll testify. Tell them the truth. Your truth is that you hired me to destroy your husband, that you stood in a ballroom and humiliated him publicly, that you've been living under my protection for weeks. Lucien met her eyes. How do you think that plays in court? She didn't have an answer. Marcus cleared his throat. Boss, you need to see this. Lucien moved to the tablet. Selene followed. The screen showed a news feed, local Charleston station. The headline made her stomach drop. Breaking. Federal prosecutors announce indictments in Vail crime syndicate, Adrian Mercer. Cooperating witness. Below it, footage of a press conference. A woman in a dark suit stood at a podium, federal seal behind her, cameras flashing. Substantial evidence of money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Mercer's testimony will be crucial in dismantling one of the largest criminal enterprises on the Eastern Seaboard. Lucian turned off the tablet. The room went silent. How long do we have? Marcus asked quietly. Before they come for me. 48 hours. Maybe less. Lucian looked at Selene. Before they come for you? Already started. As if on cue, Selene's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello. Ms. Ashcroft. The voice was male, smooth, professional. This is Victor Hale. I represent Adrian Mercer. Selene's grip tightened on the phone. I have nothing to say to you. I think you do. I'm offering you immunity. For what? Full cooperation. Testify against Lucian Vale, provide financial records from the Ashcroft Trust, detail your involvement in his operations. Hale paused. In exchange, the federal government will grant you complete immunity from prosecution. You walk away clean. I'm not involved in his operations. That's not what your bank records say. Large cash withdrawals, wire transfers to offshore accounts, meetings with known criminals. His voice stayed pleasant. A jury will connect those dots, unless you help us. Go to hell. Ms. Ashcroft. Selene hung up. Lucien watched her. He'll call back. I don't care. You should. Lucien moved closer. Hale doesn't make offers like that unless he's building a case he thinks he can win, which means he has evidence. Real evidence. Of what? I haven't done anything illegal. Haven't you? Lucian pulled up another file. 3 weeks ago, you withdrew $200,000 cash from the Ashcroft Trust. What was that for? Selene's mind raced. You told me to. You said you needed operating capital for what? Say it out loud. For information on Adrian's businesses. Information from who? I don't know. You handled it. Exactly. Lucian's expression didn't change. I handled it. Through channels that are definitely illegal, using money you provided, which makes you an accessory. The room tilted. You're saying I've been committing crimes without knowing it. I'm saying you've been committing crimes and choosing not to think about it. His voice hardened. You wanted revenge. Revenge isn't clean. It's not legal. It's not safe. You knew that when you walked into my office. You just didn't want to admit it. That's not fair. Fair doesn't exist. Lucian stepped closer. Here's what's real. You're facing federal charges. You're looking at 20 years minimum. Adrian's going to testify that you manipulated him, stole from him, and sicked a crime lord on him when he tried to leave. Evelyn, even from jail, will corroborate parts of it. She'll say you're just like your mother, ruthless, willing to do anything for power. She murdered my mother, and you murdered 3 of my men. The words hit like bullets. Selene staggered back. What? This morning. The shipment. You're the only person outside my organization who knew about it. Lucien's voice went cold. Surgical. You were at my house. You saw the files on my desk. You asked questions about my operations, and 12 hours later, my shipment gets hit and 3 men die. I didn't. I would never. Then who did? Lucien moved into her space. Not threatening. Worse. Evaluating. Someone fed that information to whoever's targeting me. Someone who had access. Someone who benefits from my organization falling apart. You think I'm working with Hale? Selene's voice cracked. After everything's... I think you're desperate. I think you're in over your head. I think when Hale called just now, part of you wanted to say yes. She wanted to deny it. Couldn't, because he was right. For one terrible second, when Hale offered immunity, she'd thought, I could walk away. I could be free. Lucien saw it in her face. Yeah, that's what I thought. He turned away. Wait. Selene grabbed his arm. I'm not betraying you. Prove it. How? Tell me everything you know about your mother's relationship with James Beaumont. Every detail, every conversation, everything Evelyn said in that greenhouse. Why does that matter? Because James Beaumont didn't kill himself. Lucien pulled up a file, police report from 23 years ago. He was murdered, made to look like suicide,
and the person who killed him had access to his study, his gun, and intimate knowledge of his schedule. Selene read the report. The details matched what Evelyn had said. Single gunshot, no note, door locked from inside. Evelyn said your people killed him, she said. My people didn't exist 23 years ago. I was 15, living in Brooklyn, hadn't even heard of Charleston. Lucian scrolled through more files. But someone killed him. Someone powerful enough to make it disappear. Someone who wanted him dead. Why? That's what I need you to help me figure out. Selene looked at the photo again. Her mother, Evelyn, James, all standing together, smiling. Unaware that within 5 years, James would be dead, and the two women would spend decades destroying each other. My mother ended the affair, Selene said slowly. She chose her family over James. He was going to leave Evelyn, but my mother said no. When? I don't know exactly, but... She stopped, remembered something. There was a party. My mother took me. I was maybe 8. It was at the Beaumont estate. James was there. So was Evelyn. And my mother, she left early, just grabbed me and left without saying goodbye. I remember because she was crying in the car. What else? She said... Selene closed her eyes, trying to pull the memory into focus. She said some people weren't worth saving, that sometimes you had to let them burn. Lucien went very still. Those exact words? Yes. Christ. He pulled up another file. This one showed financial records. Look at the date. The transactions were dated 3 weeks before James Beaumont's death. Large sums moving between accounts. Offshore transfers. Shell companies. What is this? Selene asked. James Beaumont was embezzling from my predecessor. An old-school operator named Vincent Corso ran most of the eastern seaboard back then. Lucian pointed to the numbers. $5 million. Gone. Corso's people found out. They were going to kill him. But someone beat them to it. Yeah. Lucian's expression went dark. Someone who knew about the embezzlement. Someone who wanted Corso to think they'd done him a favor. Understanding crashed over Selene like a wave. Evelyn. Lucian closed the file. She killed her own husband, framed it as suicide, and then spent the next 20 years making everyone believe she was the grieving widow while she systematically took over every operation he'd been running. That's impossible. Evelyn runs charities. She's one of the most connected criminals in Charleston. Lucien pulled up more files, wire transfers, business holdings, property records, all in Evelyn's name, all connected to legitimate businesses that did very illegitimate things. Your mother figured it out. That's why Evelyn killed her. Selene sat down hard. The pieces were falling into place. Terrible, perfect pieces. My mother was going to expose her, she said, 3 years ago, right before she died. Lucian showed her an email, dated 2 days before her mother's death. Subject line? We need to talk about James. The body of the email was simple. I know what you did. We need to meet. This ends now. It was from Selene's mother to Evelyn. She was going to the police, Selene whispered. She was going to me. Lucian's voice went quiet. I'd started making moves in Charleston around then. Your mother reached out through back channels, said she had information about corruption at the highest levels. We were supposed to meet the day after she died. The room spun. You knew my mother? Never met her, but I know she was trying to do the right thing. He paused. And it got her killed. Selene's phone rang again, same unknown number. She answered. Put it on speaker. Ms. Ashcroft. Victor Hale's voice filled the room. I'm afraid time is running out. Federal agents are preparing arrest warrants as we speak. This is your last chance to cooperate. I told you. I'm not talking to you. A pause. I'm talking to Mr. Vale. I know he's listening. Lucian's jaw tightened. Mr. Vale, Hale continued, you're a smart man. You know how this ends. The federal government has unlimited resources. They will dismantle your organization piece by piece. They will freeze your assets. They will turn your people against you. It's already started. Get to the point, Lucian said. The point is simple. Give us Evelyn Beaumont, full testimony about her involvement in organized crime. Help us connect her to James Beaumont's murder, Vincent Corso's operations, everything she's built.
Hale paused. Do that, and we'll let you walk, both of you. You're offering me a deal? I'm offering you survival. Evelyn Beaumont is the prize. You and Ms. Ashcroft are just collateral damage. Help us take her down, and you get immunity. Refuse, and you spend the rest of your life in federal prison. Lucian looked at Selene. She saw the calculation in his eyes, the cold, brutal math of survival. I need to think about it, Lucien said. You have 6 hours. Hale hung up. Silence filled the penthouse. Marcus spoke first. Boss, you can't seriously be considering... I'm considering everything. Lucien moved to the window, looked out at Charleston spreading below them. Evelyn's already arrested. She's going down whether we help or not. She'll never give up her network, Marcus said. She'll die first. Then she dies. Lucian's voice stayed flat. The question is whether we die with her. Selene stood. You said we were partners. We are. Then don't make this decision without me. Lucien turned. What decision? Hale just offered us an out. We testify against Evelyn. We walk. It's simple. Nothing about this is simple. Selene moved closer. Evelyn killed my mother. She killed James. She spent 20 years destroying lives. And now we're supposed to help the federal government put her away so they can pretend they cleaned up Charleston? That's exactly what we're supposed to do. No. Selene's voice hardened. That's letting them win. That's admitting we can't fight back. We can't fight back. They're the federal government. So was everyone who came after you before. You survived. By being smart. By knowing when to cut deals. Lucien's expression shifted. This isn't about pride, Selene. It's about staying alive. Is it? Or is it about you protecting your empire? The words hung between them. What's that supposed to mean? Lucien asked quietly. It means you don't care about justice. You don't care about my mother. You care about your operations, your money, your power. Selene felt something breaking inside her, something that had been holding her together. You're using me the same way Adrian did, the same way Evelyn did. I'm just a tool to you. That's not true. Then prove it. Don't take Hale's deal. That's suicide. So is living like this, Selene gestured at the penthouse, the guards, the guns. Constantly looking over your shoulder, never trusting anyone, building walls so high you can't see out anymore. Those walls keep me alive. They keep you alone. She stepped closer. I know what that feels like. I spent 6 years married to Adrian, lying to myself, pretending everything was fine, building walls inside my own head, and when they finally came down, I wanted to die. Selene, but I didn't. I came to you instead because I thought, her voice cracked, I thought maybe you'd understand, that maybe we could help each other be something other than just damaged people looking for revenge. Lucien stared at her. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked lost. I don't know how to be that, he said quietly. Neither do I, but we could try. The moment stretched, fragile, dangerous. Then Lucian's phone rang. He checked it. His face went white. What? Selene asked. He showed her the screen. It was a news alert. Breaking. Adrian Mercer found dead in federal custody. Apparent suicide. Below it, a photo. Adrian hanging in his cell. No note, no explanation, just like James Beaumont. Selene felt the floor drop away. That's not suicide, she whispered. No. Lucien was already moving, grabbing phones, barking orders at Marcus. That's a message. From who? Someone who wants us to know we're next. The penthouse door exploded inward. Not slowly, not with warning. Just boom, splintered wood and smoke and men in tactical gear flooding in with rifles raised. Federal agents, get down! Down now! Lucian's hand went to his gun. Marcus shouted something. One of the other men moved. Gunshots. Selene hit the floor, hands over her head, the world reduced to sound and terror. More shooting, shouting, someone screaming. Then silence. Selene lifted her head. 3 of Lucien's men were down. Marcus bleeding from his shoulder, but alive. Federal agents everywhere, rifles trained on Lucian. And standing in the doorway, calm as death, was Victor Hale. Lucian Vale, he said. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, and about 15 other charges. We'll work out the full list downtown. Lucian's hands went up slowly. I want my lawyer. Of course, that's your right. Hale smiled. Miss Ashcroft, you're under arrest as well. For what? Selene managed. Accessory to murder, Adrian Mercer's murder specifically. Hale pulled out a phone, showed her the screen. It was a text message. From Selene's number. Sent an hour ago. He knows too much. Make it look like suicide. Sent to a number listed in her contacts as L, for Lucian. I didn't send that, Selene said. I've never... My phone's been with me the whole time.
We'll sort it out downtown. Hale nodded to the agents. Take them both. Hands grabbed Selene, pulled her up, cuffed her wrists behind her back. The metal bit into her skin, cold and final. She looked at Lucian. He was being cuffed too, his face blank, his eyes meeting hers across the ruined penthouse. And in that look, she saw the truth. He thought she'd betrayed him. Lucian, I didn't... Save it for your lawyer, Hale said. They dragged her out, down the elevator, through a lobby full of shocked residents, out into the Charleston night where police cars waited with lights flashing red and blue and white, cameras everywhere, news crews, phones recording. Tomorrow the whole world would see Selene Ashcroft, society princess turned criminal, being stuffed into a federal vehicle. The door slammed shut. Through the window, she watched them load Lucian into a different car. He didn't look at her, didn't look at anything, just stared straight ahead like he'd already left his body behind. The car pulled away. And Selene finally understood what her mother must have felt in those last moments in the greenhouse. Not fear, not regret, just the cold, clear certainty that she'd been outplayed from the beginning. That every choice she'd made, every step toward revenge, every alliance, every burning bridge, had been exactly what someone wanted. And now they had her exactly where they needed her, trapped, alone, with nowhere left to run. The holding cell smelled like disinfectant and fear. Selene sat on a metal bench bolted to the wall, her wrists still aching from the cuffs they'd finally removed. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a sick yellow glow. The walls were concrete. The door was steel. No windows. No clock. No way to know if she'd been here for hours or days. A female guard had taken her phone, her jewelry, her shoes. Left her in the clothes she'd put on at Lucian's safe house. Black pants, gray sweater, both now wrinkled and smelling like sweat. Her mother's necklace was gone, locked in an evidence bag somewhere. The thought made her chest tight. The door opened. Victor Hale walked in carrying a leather folder and 2 cups of coffee. He looked exactly the same as he had at the penthouse. Perfectly pressed suit, calm expression, eyes that missed nothing. He set 1 coffee in front of Selene. Thought you might need this, he said. She didn't touch it. Where's Lucienne? Different facility. Federal Detention Center downtown. Hale sat across from her, opened his folder. He's not talking. His lawyer showed up within an hour. Very expensive, very good at his job. I want a lawyer too. Of course, that's your right. Hale pulled out a document, slid it toward her. But before we go down that road, I thought you might want to see this. It was a financial statement. Her financial statement. The Ashcroft family trust broken down in brutal detail. Every account, every transaction, every withdrawal, including the $200,000 she'd given Lucian 3 weeks ago. That money, Hale said, tapping the line, went to a contractor named Thomas Reed. Ex-military, demolitions expert, currently wanted in 3 states for murder for hire. Selene's stomach dropped. I didn't know. What the money was for? I believe you. Hale pulled out another document. But Reed did. He used $50,000 of it to purchase equipment, used the rest to pay a team, and 6 days ago, that team planted explosives in a warehouse on Meeting Street, the warehouse where Lucian's men had died. You're saying I paid for the attack, Selene said slowly. I'm saying your money did, whether you knew it or not. Hale leaned forward. Here's what I think happened. You came to Lucian Vale wanting revenge on your ex-husband. Lucian saw an opportunity. He took your money, used it to fund operations you didn't understand, and kept you close enough to take the fall if things went sideways. That's not Then there's this. Hale pulled out a phone. Not hers, Lucian's. We found it at the penthouse, encrypted, but our tech people are very good. He scrolled, turned the screen toward her. It showed a text conversation between Lucian and someone listed only as V. V. She's a liability, too emotional, Can't be trusted. Lucien. I know, but she's useful for now. V. For now. What about later? Lucien. Later doesn't matter. By the time this is over, she'll be in federal custody or dead. Either way, problem solved. The timestamp was from 2 days ago. Selene's hands went numb. She read it again and again. The words didn't change. V is Victor, Hale said quietly. But not me. Victor Castellano, one of Lucien's oldest associates, currently in witness protection because he finally got smart and flipped. This is fake. It's not. Hale pulled out more documents. Castellano's been cooperating for weeks. He's given us names, dates, operations, everything we need to dismantle Vale's entire network. He paused. Including testimony that Lucien specifically recruited you to take the fall for Adrian Mercer's murder. The room felt smaller, colder. Adrian wasn't supposed to die, Selene whispered. No, he was supposed to testify. Put you and Lucien both away. But someone got to him first. Hale pulled out crime scene photos. Adrian hanging in his cell, the ligature marks, the overturned chair. Medical examiner says it was staged. Adrian was already dead when they strung him up, poisoned. Same compound used on your mother. Selene's throat closed. Evelyn. Evelyn's been in custody since yesterday, under 24-hour surveillance. She couldn't have killed Adrian. Hale's expression hardened. But someone in her network could, someone with access to federal facilities, someone powerful enough to walk into a secured cell and commit murder without leaving evidence. Who? That's what I'm trying to find out. Hale closed the folder. And I think you can help me. Why would I help you? Because right now, you're looking at conspiracy to commit murder. 25 to life. Federal prison. And that's if the jury believes you didn't know what Lucien was using your money for. He paused. But if you cooperate, if you tell me everything about Lucien's operations, his associates, his plans, I can get you immunity. Full immunity. You walk away from this. I don't know anything about his operations. You know more than you think. You've been in his house, met his people, seen his files. Hale pulled out a pen, set it on the table. All I need is for you to write it down, every detail, every name, every location. Selene stared at the pen. It would be so easy. Sign the paper, tell them what they wanted to hear, become the person Lucien apparently thought she was, a liability to be discarded. What happens to Lucien? She asked. He goes to prison for the rest of his life. And Evelyn? Same. Hale's voice softened. Look, I know she killed your mother. I know you want justice. This is how you get it. You help us build an airtight case against both of them. They never see daylight again. In exchange for betraying Lucien. In exchange for saving yourself. Hale leaned back. He was using you, Selene. You read the text. He never cared about you. You were just a tool. Maybe that was true. Maybe Lucien had been playing her from the beginning, using her money, her name, her grief to build something that would eventually destroy them both. Or maybe Hale was lying. Selene looked at him, really looked. The expensive suit, the calm demeanor, the way he'd walked into the penthouse like he owned it. You knew, she said slowly. You knew Adrian was going to die. Hale's expression didn't change. That's a serious accusation. You offered us a deal 6 hours before Adrian was murdered. You said we had 6 hours to decide. Then Adrian dies and you show up at our door with an arrest warrant. She stood. You wanted him dead. Sit down, Ms. Ashcroft. Why? Because he knew something? Because he was going to testify about someone else? Her mind raced. You said Evelyn's network is bigger than just her, that someone powerful helped her, someone with access. Sit down. It's you. The pieces clicked together. You've been protecting Evelyn. That's why the investigation into Adrian died so fast. That's why she's been operating for 20 years without getting caught. You're part of her network. Hale stood slowly. You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking clearly for the first time since this started. Selene moved toward the door. You killed Adrian, or had him killed, because he was going to expose you. There's no evidence of that. Then why are you here? Why not send a regular agent to take my statement? She grabbed the door handle. Locked, of course. You're here because you need to know what I know.
What Lucien knows. What Adrian told us before you killed him. Hale's mask slipped, just for a second, long enough for Selene to see something cold and calculating underneath. You're going to sit down, he said quietly. You're going to sign that immunity agreement, and you're going to give me every piece of information you have about Lucien Vale's operations. Or what? Or I walk out of this room and you never see daylight again. Hale moved closer. You think you're smart? You think you figured something out? You're nobody. A spoiled socialite who got in over her head. No one's coming to save you. Lucien doesn't care. Your friends abandoned you. Even your mother. Selene slapped him. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Hale's head snapped to the side. He touched his cheek, looked at his fingers like he expected blood. Then he smiled. That was stupid, he said. He grabbed her arm, yanked her close. His breath smelled like coffee and something sour. You just assaulted a federal prosecutor. That's another charge. Another few years. And there's no camera in this room. No witnesses. Just you and me. Let go. Make me. Selene drove her knee into his groin. Hale gasped, stumbled back. She ran for the door, slammed her palm against it. Guard! I need... Hale grabbed her hair, yanked her backward. She hit the floor hard, stars exploding across her vision. He stood over her, face twisted with rage. You stupid bitch, he hissed. You could have walked out of here, could have been free. But you had to... The door flew open. Not a guard. Detective Elias Ward. He took in the scene in half a second. Selene on the floor, Hale standing over her, the coffee spilled across the table. The hell is going on? Ward demanded. She attacked me, Hale said, his voice instantly calm again. Tried to escape. I was restraining her until... Bullshit. Ward helped Selene up. You okay? She nodded. Didn't trust her voice. Ward looked at Hale. Get out. This is a federal investigation. You don't have authority... I have authority to arrest you for assault if you don't get the hell out of my precinct in the next 10 seconds. Ward's hand went to his service weapon. Your call, counselor. Hale stared at him. Then at Selene. The mask was back in place, smooth and unreadable. This isn't over, he said quietly. He left. Ward closed the door, locked it, turned to Selene. Talk fast, he said. What's really going on? Hale's part of Evelyn's network. He killed Adrian, or had him killed, and now he's trying to make me and Lucien take the fall for everything. Ward pulled out his phone, started recording. Say that again, slower. Selene did. Laid out everything, the texts from V, Hale's threats, the way he'd shown up at the penthouse right after Adrian died. Ward listened without interrupting, his expression getting darker with each word. When she finished, he stopped recording. You have any proof? Just what I saw, what he said. That's not enough, not against a federal prosecutor. Then what do I do? Ward sat down heavily. Honestly, I don't know. Hale's connected. He's got friends at every level. If he wants you buried, you're buried. There has to be something. There is. But you're not going to like it. Tell me. Ward pulled out a different phone. Older, basic, definitely not his service phone. He typed something, waited, then showed her the screen. It was a message thread between Ward and someone listed as LV Lucien Vale. You've been talking to him? Selene asked. For 3 months. Since before you ever walked into his office. Ward pocketed the phone. Lucien came to me with evidence about corruption in the Charleston PD, officers on Evelyn's payroll, prosecutors looking the other way. He wanted to clean house. Why? Because dirty cops are bad for business. Hard to operate when you can't predict who's actually law enforcement and who's working for your competitors. Ward met her eyes. Lucien's a criminal, but he's a pragmatic one. He wanted Evelyn gone as much as you did. So you've been working together. Carefully, very carefully, but yeah. Ward stood. And right now, he's in a federal detention center with no way to contact anyone. His phones are seized. His lawyers are being stonewalled. He's completely isolated. Can you get to him? Maybe, but it's risky. If Hale finds out I'm involved, he already knows something's wrong. I saw it in his face. Selene grabbed Ward's arm. Please, Lucien needs to know what's happening, that Hale's trying to turn us against each other. Ward hesitated, then nodded. I'll try, but You need to stay here. Stay quiet. Don't talk to anyone else. What about Evelyn? She's still in county lockup. They're transferring her to federal custody tomorrow. He paused. But I might be able to arrange a conversation, if you want it. Selene's chest tightened. Why would I want to talk to her? Because she's the only person who knows all the players, all the connections. If Hale's part of her network, she knows how deep it goes. Ward opened the door. Think about it. I'll be back in an hour. He left. Selene sat alone in the holding cell, her mind racing. Everything she thought she understood had been flipped. Lucian wasn't using her, or if he was also trying to help her. Hale wasn't the righteous prosecutor. He was another criminal in a nicer suit. Even Ward, who she barely knew, was playing both sides. And somewhere in all of this, her mother had tried to do the right thing and died for it. The door opened again. Not Ward this time. A different guard, older, female, with kind eyes. You've got a visitor, she said. I didn't request. She requested you. The guard stepped aside. Evelyn Beaumont walked in. She looked different without the cream suits and perfect hair. Prison orange washed out her skin. Her silver hair hung loose around her shoulders. No makeup, no jewelry. Just a woman in her 60s who'd spent the last 24 hours in a cell. But her eyes were still sharp. Hello, darling, she said. The guard left, locked the door behind her. Selene and Evelyn stood on opposite sides of the tiny cell, two women who'd loved the same person and destroyed each other because of it. Why are you here? Selene asked. To save your life. Evelyn sat on the metal bench. Victor Hale is going to kill you, probably within the next 48 hours. I thought you should know. You're lying. I'm many things, Selene, but right now I'm the only person telling you the truth. Evelyn folded her hands. Hale's been on my payroll for 12 years. He's the one who made James's death disappear, who buried investigations into my operations, who arranged for Adrian to die when he became inconvenient. Then why are you in custody? Because I'm the fall guy. Evelyn smiled sadly. Hale's been building his own empire inside mine, using my contacts, my infrastructure, my money, and when things got too hot, he decided to sacrifice me to save himself. If that's true, why not tell someone? The FBI, Who would believe me? I'm a murderer, a criminal. Hale's a decorated prosecutor with a perfect record. Evelyn leaned forward. The only way to stop him is to expose the whole network. Every corrupt cop, every paid-off judge, every politician he owns. And the only person who has that information is Victor Castellano. The witness Hale mentioned. The witness Hale thinks he controls. But Castellano's smart. He kept insurance, files, recordings, evidence of everything Hale's done. Evelyn pulled a piece of paper from her pocket. This is where he's hiding. Federal Safe House in Kiowa Island. Selene took the paper. An address. Detailed directions. Why are you helping me? She asked. Because your mother would want me to. Evelyn's voice cracked. Just slightly. I hated her for leaving James, for choosing her family over him. But she was right. Some things are worth protecting, even if it costs you everything. You killed her. I did, and I'll spend the rest of my life paying for it. Evelyn stood. But right now, the best way I can honor her memory is to make sure her daughter survives. She knocked on the door. The guard opened it. Evelyn looked back one last time. Victor Castellano, Kiowa Island. Get to him before Hale does. It's the only way you and Lucien live through this. Then she was gone. Selene stared at the paper in her hand. It could be another trap, another manipulation. Evelyn was a murderer, a liar, someone who'd spent decades perfecting the art of deception. But she was also the only person who understood exactly how deep this conspiracy went. The door opened. Ward was back. I got in touch with Lucien, he said. He wants to talk to you. But we have to move fast. Hale's already filed an emergency motion to have you transferred to federal custody. Judge is reviewing it now. How long do we have? Maybe an hour, maybe less. Ward pulled out keys. There's a visiting room on the second floor. Lucian's being brought over from detention. You'll have 10 minutes. Maybe 15 if we're lucky. I need to go to Kiowa Island, Selene said. Ward stopped. What? She showed him the paper. Evelyn says there's a witness, someone who has evidence against Hale. If we can get to him... That's insane. You're in custody. You can't just leave. Then help me escape. I could lose my job, my pension. I could go to prison. Hale's going to kill me anyway. You said it yourself. Selene moved closer. If I'm going to die, I'd rather die trying to stop him than sitting in a cell waiting for it to happen. Ward's jaw worked. He looked at the paper, at her, at the locked door. Talk to Lucien first, he said finally. See what he says. Then we decide. He led her through empty hallways. It was late, past midnight, most of the precinct dark and quiet. They took a service elevator to the second floor, walked down a corridor lined with interview rooms. In the last room, Lucien sat handcuffed to a table. He looked like hell. His face was bruised, split lip, one eye swollen. His shirt was torn. Dried blood crusted his knuckles, but when he saw Selene, something shifted in his expression. Relief. Real, raw relief. Ward uncuffed Selene, locked them both in the room. 10 minutes, he said through the door. After that, I can't help you. Selene sat across from Lucien. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Then Lucien said, Did you send that text? No. Did you know what I was using your money for? No. Do you trust me? Selene looked at him, at the man who'd helped her destroy her old life, who'd pulled her into a world of violence and consequences, who'd stood beside her when everyone else walked away. I don't know, she said honestly. Lucien nodded. Fair enough. Did you mean it? Selene asked. What you said to Castellano? That I was a liability? That you didn't care what happened to me? Castellano was already working with Hale. I knew my communications were compromised, so I gave him exactly what he wanted to hear. Lucien leaned forward as far as the cuffs allowed. Everything I said was theater, to make Hale think he'd won, to make him underestimate what we could do together. We can't do anything together. We're both in custody. For now. Lucien's eyes held hers. But Hale's going to make a mistake. He's arrogant. He thinks he's already won. And arrogant people get sloppy. Evelyn gave me an address. Says there's a witness who has evidence against Hale. Someone in federal protection. Castellano. You know him? I know everyone. Lucien's mouth curved without humor. He's a rat. Can't be trusted. But if he has files on Hale, they're legitimate. Castellano's always been smart about keeping insurance. So we go to Kiowa, get the files, expose Hale. You go to Kiowa. I'm not going anywhere except federal prison. Ward can help. He's been working with you. Ward's a good cop, which means he won't break me out of custody. It'd destroy everything he's built. Lucien's expression hardened. But he might help you, if you can convince him. I'm not leaving you here. Yes, you are. Lucien's voice went flat. This is the play, Selene. I stay. Take the heat. Keep Hale focused on me. You go, get the evidence, bring it back, clear both our names. What if I can't? Then at least one of us is free. That's not good enough. It's all we have. Selene's hands clenched. I didn't survive everything. My mother's death, Adrian's betrayal, Evelyn's manipulation, just to watch you give up. I'm not giving up. I'm being strategic. Bullshit. You're being a martyr. Someone has to be. Why does it have to be you? Because Lucien stopped. His jaw tightened. Because I've spent 15 years doing terrible things to terrible people, and maybe this is how I balance the scales. By rotting in prison? By making sure you don't. The words hung between them. Selene stood, moved around the table, sat on the edge next to Lucien, close enough that their shoulders touched. My mother spent her whole life trying to do the right thing, she said quietly. Trying to be good. Trying to protect people. And it got her killed. She looked at him. I'm not her. I don't care about being good. I care about staying alive, about making sure the people who hurt us pay for it. Selene. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to Kiowa. I'm getting those files, and then I'm coming back for you. She leaned closer. And if you try to stop me, if you try to sacrifice yourself to save me, I will never forgive you. Understood? Lucien stared at her. Then slowly, he smiled. A real smile. The first she'd ever seen from him. Understood, he said. The door opened. Ward stood there, looking grim. Time's up. Federal marshals are here. They're taking you both into custody in 5 minutes. Then we move now, Selene said. Ward's eyes widened. You're serious? You have a better idea? About 100, all of them less likely to get us killed. Good thing I'm not asking for safe. Selene stood. I'm asking for possible. Ward looked at Lucien. This is insane. Completely, Lucien agreed. Do it anyway. Ward's hand went to his service weapon. For a terrible second, Selene thought he was going to draw on them. Then he pulled out his keys instead. There's a maintenance exit on the ground floor, loading dock. My car's parked there. He unlocked Lucien's cuffs. You've got maybe 3 minutes before someone realizes you're gone. After that, every cop in Charleston will be looking for you. Lucien stood, rubbing his wrists. Keys. Ward tossed them over. What about you? Selene asked. I'll tell them you overpowered me. Took my weapon. They'll believe it. Ward's expression was grim. But after this, I can't help you anymore. You're on your own. We've always been on our own, Lucien said. They ran. Down service stairs, through empty hallways, past rooms full of evidence and forgotten files. The precinct was quiet. Skeleton crew. Most of the detectives gone home for the night. They hit the loading dock at a dead sprint. Ward's car sat under a broken streetlight. Old sedan. Unmarked. Perfect for blending in. Lucien got behind the wheel. Selene climbed in passenger side. The engine turned over. Behind them, an alarm started blaring. Go, Selene said. Lucien went. They tore out of the parking lot, tires screaming, the alarm fading behind them as they hit the main road. Traffic was light, past midnight, most of Charleston asleep. Kiowa's 40 minutes, Lucien said, weaving between cars. But they'll have roadblocks up in 10, maybe less. Then we go off-road. In this? Lucien gestured at the sedan. We'll get stuck in the first marsh we hit. You have a better plan? Yeah. We steal a boat. 20 minutes later, they stood on a dock in a private marina, sirens wailing in the distance. Lucien hot-wired a speedboat while Selene kept watch, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. The engine roared to life. They jumped in. Lucien gunned it, and the boat leaped forward, cutting through black water toward Kiowa Island. Behind them, Charleston lit up with flashing lights, police cars, federal vehicles, helicopters circling like mechanical vultures. But ahead, the island waited, and somewhere on it, the evidence that could save them, or destroy them completely. Selene looked at Lucien. His face was set, his hands steady on the wheel, his eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. No matter what happens, she said over the engine noise, thank you. For what? For not giving up on me. Lucien glanced at her. You didn't give up on me first. The boat hit a wave, crashed down, spray soaking them both. And together, two broken people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their ruined lives, they drove toward whatever waited in the dark, knowing they might not survive, but refusing to die quietly. The boat hit the beach at Kiowa Island hard enough to jar Selene's teeth. Lucien killed the engine and they sat in sudden silence, listening to waves lap against the hull and their own ragged breathing. The island stretched before them, dark sand, darker trees, houses set back from the shore like sleeping giants. No lights, no movement, just the kind of quiet that felt wrong. Something's off, Lucien said. Selene felt it too. The address Evelyn had given them was supposed to be a federal safe house. There should be lights, guards, some sign of life. Instead, nothing. They climbed out of the boat, feet sinking into wet sand. Lucien had taken Ward's service weapon before they left, a Glock 9mm with a full magazine. He checked it now, muscle memory taking over. Stay behind me, he said. Not a chance. Selene, we do this together or not at all? Lucien looked at her. Even in the dark, she could see his expression shift. Resignation, maybe, or acceptance. He handed her the gun. You know how to use this? Point and shoot, right? Close enough. He pulled a knife from his boot. Let's go. They moved up the beach toward the tree line. The safe house was supposed to be half a mile inland, tucked behind a row of vacation rentals that sat empty this time of year. The sand gave way to grass, then gravel, then a paved road lined with mailboxes. Selene's clothes were still wet from the boat spray. Her hair hung in tangles. Her hands shook from adrenaline and cold, but her mind felt clear, sharper than it had in months. like everything she'd been through had burned away the parts of her that hesitated. The safe house appeared through the trees, a modest ranch-style home, white siding, green shutters, completely unremarkable except for the black SUV parked in the driveway. Federal plates. "They're here," Selene whispered. Lucien nodded. "Or someone wants us to think they are." They circled around back. A sliding glass door led to a screened porch. Through the glass, Selene could see into the living room, furniture covered in plastic, boxes stacked against walls. And in the center of it all, sitting in a folding chair with his hands zip-tied behind his back, Victor Castellano. He was younger than Selene expected. Early 40s, graying hair, face bruised and swollen. Blood crusted his nose. His eyes were open, staring at the door like he'd been waiting for someone. "It's a trap," Lucien said. "Obviously." Selene tested the sliding door. Unlocked. "But Castellano's still alive, which means whoever set this up wants us to come in." "Exactly, so we don't. We need those files." "Not if they cost us our lives." Selene looked at him. "Then what was the point of any of this? We escaped. We ran. We came all the way here. And now you want to walk away? I want us to survive." "Surviving isn't enough anymore." She pushed the door open. "I'm going in. You can come with me or wait here. Your choice." She stepped inside before he could stop her. The house smelled like dust and old carpet. Selene moved through the screened porch into the living room, gun raised, every nerve screaming. Castellano's eyes tracked her movement, but he didn't speak. Duct tape covered his mouth. Selene ripped it off. Castellano gasped. "Get out! It's—" A gun cocked behind her. "A trap," Victor Hale finished. "Yes, we've established that." Selene turned slowly. Hale stood in the hallway leading to the bedrooms, holding a pistol aimed at her chest. He looked exactly the same as he had at the precinct, calm, controlled, like this was just another day at the office. "Drop the weapon," he said. Selene's finger tightened on the trigger. "You first. I have 6 men outside. The moment I fire, they come in. You'll be dead before you hit the floor." "So will you," Hale smiled. "Maybe. But I'm betting you're not ready to die yet. You fought too hard to get here." He was right. Selene's hands were shaking, her pulse hammered in her ears. She'd never shot anyone, didn't know if she could. "Put it down," Hale said again. "Last chance." Movement in her peripheral vision. Lucien coming through the sliding door, knife in hand. Hale saw him too. "Mr. Vale, right on time." "Let her go," Lucien said. "This is between you and me." "Nothing is between just you and me. That's not how power works." Hale gestured with the gun. "Both of you, sit. Now." Selene sat in a folding chair next to Castellano. Lucien stayed standing. "I said sit. Make me." Hale shot him. Not center mass. In the shoulder. Precise. Controlled. The kind of shot that said he knew exactly what he was doing. Lucien went down hard, blood spreading across his shirt. "No!" Selene lunged forward. Hale's gun swung toward her. "Stay in the chair." She froze. Lucien lay on the floor, breathing hard, one hand pressed against the wound. Blood seeped between his fingers. "That was unnecessary," Castellano said. His voice was hoarse. "He would have sat." He needed a reminder of who's in control. Hale pulled out a phone, typed something one-handed while keeping the gun trained on Selene. "My men will be here in 2 minutes. After that, this gets very simple. You're all going to die. Castellano because he tried to betray me. Vale because he's been a thorn in my side for years. And you," he looked at Selene, "because you're the only witness who knows the truth." "People already know," Selene said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Detective Ward knows. Evelyn knows. You can't kill everyone." "Ward's already been discredited. Accusations of aiding an escape, taking bribes, falsifying evidence. By tomorrow, nobody will believe a word he says." Hale smiled. "And Evelyn's going to have a tragic accident in custody. Suicide, probably. The guilt was too much. You planned all of this. 20 years ago." Hale pulled out a second phone, older, beat up, the kind you use once and throw away. He showed her the screen. It displayed a photo. Young Victor Hale standing next to James Beaumont, both smiling, both wearing expensive suits. James was my mentor, Hale said quietly. He taught me everything. How to work the system, how to hide in plain sight, how to build an empire while everyone thinks you're on their side. His expression hardened. And then Evelyn killed him, made it look like suicide, took everything he'd built and claimed it as her own. So this is revenge, Selene said. This is justice. There's a difference. Hale pocketed the phone. I've spent 2 decades positioning myself, building cases against Evelyn's competitors, eliminating threats, making myself indispensable to her network while secretly documenting everything she did. He gestured to Castellano. He was supposed to help me. Instead, he tried to sell me out. Because you're insane, Castellano spat. James was a criminal. Evelyn's a criminal. You're no different. I'm nothing like them. Hale's voice went cold. They destroy for profit. I destroy for principle. That's the same thing, Lucian said from the floor. He'd managed to sit up, back against the wall, still bleeding but conscious. You dress it up in fancy words, but it's still just power, control, taking what you think you deserve. Says the man who's built an empire on violence. At least I'm honest about it. Lucien pressed harder against his wound. I don't pretend I'm saving anyone. Don't hide behind a badge and call murder justice. Hale raised the gun. Any last words? The front door exploded inward. Not FBI, not tactical teams. Evelyn Beaumont, holding a shotgun, flanked by 2 men in tactical gear who definitely weren't federal agents. She fired once. The shot caught Hale in the chest, threw him backward against the wall. His gun clattered across the floor. Everything happened at once. Selene dove for the weapon. Castellano threw himself sideways, chair and all, trying to get clear. Lucian surged to his feet despite the shoulder wound, knife already in his hand. Evelyn pumped the shotgun, aimed at Hale's men coming through the back door. More shots, shouting, glass shattering. Selene grabbed Hale's gun, spun, fired at movement in the hallway. Someone went down. She didn't stop to check who. Lucian was on one of Hale's men, knife buried in the guy's neck before Selene could process what was happening. Blood everywhere. The man crumpled. Evelyn fired again. Another one of Hale's people dropped. Then silence. Ringing, terrible silence. Selene looked around. 4 bodies. Hale slumped against the wall, still breathing, but barely. His men dead or dying. Castellano still zip-tied to the chair, eyes wide with shock. And Evelyn, lowering the shotgun, looking at Selene with an expression that might have been regret. How did you... Selene started. I lied. Evelyn set the shotgun down. About being in custody, about everything. I've been out for hours. Ward helped me. Ward? He's been working both sides from the beginning, helping Lucian, helping me, playing everyone against each other to see who came out on top. Evelyn moved to Hale, checked his pulse. Still alive. Looks like it's us. Lucien staggered over to Selene. His face was white from blood loss. We need to go. More will come. Not yet. Evelyn pulled out a USB drive from her pocket. Castellano's files. Everything Hale did. Everyone he worked with. Every crime he committed in James's name. Why are you giving this to us? Selene asked. Because your mother would have wanted you to finish what she started. Evelyn pressed the drive into Selene's hand. She tried to expose this network, tried to bring down everyone who'd corrupted Charleston, and it killed her. Her voice cracked. Don't let it kill you too. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Real cops this time, one of Evelyn's men said. We've got maybe 2 minutes. Evelyn looked at Selene one last time. There's a boat at the South Dock. Take it. Go. Don't stop until you're somewhere they can't find you. What about you? I'm done running. Evelyn picked up the shotgun. I killed your mother, killed James, spent 20 years building something rotten. She smiled sadly. Time I paid for it. Evelyn, go, Selene. They went. Out the back door, through the trees, Lucien leaning on Selene as blood soaked through his makeshift bandage. Behind them, more sirens. Shouts. The sound of vehicles screeching to a halt. They reached the South Dock just as helicopters appeared overhead, searchlights sweeping the island. The boat was exactly where Evelyn said it would be. Small, fast, keys in the ignition. Selene got Lucien into the passenger seat, started the engine. Behind them, gunshots. A lot of them. Then silence. Evelyn wasn't coming. Selene gunned the engine, and they shot across the water, leaving Kiowa Island burning with flashing lights and unanswered questions. They didn't stop until they reached a private dock 40 miles north. A place Lucien knew. A safe house that wasn't on any federal database. Inside, Selene cleaned Lucien's wound. The bullet had gone straight through, missed bone and major arteries. Lucky. So impossibly lucky. She stitched him up with supplies from the first aid kit, hands steady, despite everything. He didn't make a sound. Just watched her work with dark, unreadable eyes. When she finished, she sat back. "We're alive," she said. "For now." "That's enough." Lucien touched her face. His fingers were cold. "You should have left me at the precinct." "Probably." "You should have taken Hale's deal, walked away clean." "Definitely." "So why didn't you?" Selene looked at him. This man who'd helped her destroy her old life, who'd pulled her into darkness and never apologized for it, who'd been shot protecting her. "Because being clean isn't the same as being alive," she said. Lucien kissed her. Not soft, not gentle. Desperate and real and tasting like blood. Selene kissed him back. When they finally pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. "What now?" she whispered. "Now we disappear, change names, leave Charleston, start over somewhere they'll never find us." "And the files?" Lucien pulled the USB drive from her pocket. "We leak them, anonymously. Let the federal government tear itself apart trying to figure out who knew what." "That's not justice." "No, but it's survival." He looked at her. "Your mother tried for justice. It killed her. I won't let it kill you too." Selene took the drive back. "My mother tried alone. She didn't have help, didn't have someone who understood how the system worked." She stood. "But I do." 3 days later, every major news outlet in the country received an encrypted file. It contained 20 years of evidence, financial records, audio recordings, emails between Victor Hale and dozens of corrupt officials, proof of murders, conspiracies, cover-ups, proof that the federal prosecutor who'd been building RICO cases for years was himself one of the biggest criminals on the eastern seaboard. By the end of the week, Hale was in custody, real custody, with cameras and witnesses and lawyers who couldn't be bought. Evelyn Beaumont was dead, killed in the firefight on Kiowa Island. Castellano was in witness protection, testifying against everyone he'd ever worked with, and Selene Ashcroft and Lucy Vale were gone. The authorities searched for months, froze accounts, issued warrants, tracked every lead, found nothing. Because some people know how to disappear, how to become someone new, how to build a life in the spaces between what's legal and what's possible. 6 months later, a woman walked into a small cafe in a coastal town no one had heard of. She had dark hair now, cut short, wore jeans and a simple shirt. No diamonds, no designer clothes, just someone you'd pass on the street and never remember. She ordered coffee, sat by the window, watched the ocean. A man joined her. Taller, scarred, moving like violence was always an option. He sat across from her without asking. "Thought I'd find you here," he said. Selene, though that wasn't her name anymore, smiled. "You always do. How's the new life?" "Quiet." "You hate it." "I'm adjusting." She sipped her coffee. "You?" "Same." Lucien, though that wasn't his name either, leaned back. "Got a call yesterday. Someone trying to restart operations in Charleston, using our old contacts." "Let them. They're using your mother's name, claiming she would have wanted them to continue her work." Selene's grip tightened on the cup. "My mother's work got her killed." "I know, just thought you should hear it." Lucien paused. "We could go back, clean house one more time. Or we could stay here, build something that doesn't involve guns and blood and people trying to kill us." "That an option for people like us?" Selene looked out at the ocean. Waves crashed against rocks. Seabirds wheeled overhead. The sun caught the water and turned it gold. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but I want to find out." Lucien reached across the table, took her hand. His palm was warm, calloused, scarred from a lifetime of violence.
Then we find out together, he said. And for the first time since her mother died, Selene felt something other than rage. She felt hope. Not the naive kind. Not the belief that everything would be perfect or that they'd magically become good people, but the hope that maybe, just maybe, they could build something real out of the wreckage. That maybe survival wasn't just about staying alive. It was about finding someone worth staying alive for. She squeezed Lucian's hand. Together, she agreed. They sat in the cafe as afternoon turned to evening, two people who'd destroyed their old lives and somehow found each other in the aftermath. Two people who'd learned that revenge was easy, but redemption was hard. Two people who'd chosen to try anyway. The world outside kept turning. Charleston rebuilt itself, elected new officials, tried to forget the scandal that had torn through its upper crust like a hurricane. Adrian Mercer's death was ruled a homicide, but no one was ever charged. Evelyn Beaumont's empire was dismantled piece by piece, her assets seized, her name becoming a cautionary tale. Victor Hale went to prison for life, still claiming he'd done everything for justice. And somewhere in a town with no name that mattered, two people started over. They rented a small house near the water, got jobs that didn't require them to lie about who they were, or at least not too much. Learned to sleep without weapons under their pillows. It wasn't perfect. Some nights Selene woke up gasping, dreaming of her mother's face. Some nights Lucian disappeared for hours, needing space from the walls that felt too close. But they kept trying, kept building, kept choosing each other, even when it would have been easier to run. One morning, almost a year after they'd left Charleston, Selene stood on the beach watching the sunrise. The air smelled like salt and possibilities. Her mother's necklace, the one thing she'd kept from her old life, caught the light around her throat. Footsteps behind her. Lucien. Beautiful, he said. It is. I wasn't talking about the sunrise. Selene turned, found him watching her with an expression she'd never seen before. Something soft, vulnerable. What? She asked. I love you. He said it simply. No drama, no grand gesture, just truth. Thought you should know. Selene's throat tightened. She'd heard those words before, from Adrian, from friends, from her mother. But they'd never felt like this. Like a promise instead of a prison. Like freedom instead of a cage. I love you too, she said. Lucian pulled her close. They stood together on the beach, two broken people who'd found a way to fit their jagged edges together. The sun rose higher, the world kept spinning, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, Selene Ashcroft, who wasn't Selene Ashcroft anymore, felt something that might have been peace. It wouldn't last forever. Nothing did. But for now, in this moment, with this man, in this place she'd never expected to find, it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Years later, someone would ask her if she regretted it. The revenge, the violence, the choice to burn her old life to ash instead of walking away. She'd think about her mother, poisoned in a greenhouse among orchids she'd tended with her own hands. She'd think about Adrian, hanged in a cell to silence what he knew. She'd think about Evelyn, dying in a firefight she'd orchestrated as one final act of twisted redemption. And she'd think about Lucien. Scarred and dangerous and somehow the most honest person she'd ever known. No, she'd say. I don't regret it. Because regret implied she'd had a choice. And the truth was simpler than that. She'd done what she had to do to survive, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, in all the ways that mattered. She'd learned that sometimes the only way out of hell was straight through it. That sometimes justice looked like revenge, and revenge looked like freedom. That sometimes the people who saved you were the same people who destroyed you. And that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, broken things could be made whole again. Not the same as before, but whole nonetheless. The ocean crashed against the shore. Seabirds called overhead. The sun warmed her skin. And Selene, who had been a daughter, a wife, a victim, a villain, and finally just a woman trying to live, took a breath, let it out, and stepped forward into whatever came next, unafraid, unbroken, alive.